We're talking about teeth. Shark teeth, interesting. Oh, they're sharp like razors. But you know, the fascinating thing about them is that they can replace them internally. They've got a backup set. We don't have that. When we lose a tooth, you got to do something about it. And today, the best way to replace a missing tooth is the dental implant. And therein lies an interesting history. We go back first to the 1800s and roosters. John Hunter, a well-known anatomist in the 1800s, a physician, noted for all kinds of unusual experiments with roosters. He would take out their testicle and replant them into the body to see what it would do, because if you remove a testicle, the comb of the rooster collapses, you put it back in, it becomes erect. This was the beginning of hormonal treatments. But he did something else absolutely fascinating. He took a human tooth and he implanted it into the comb of a rooster. Why? I suspect because it just hadn't been done before. And what he noticed was that the tooth got somehow embedded into the comb of the rooster, and it was very difficult to dislodge. And this gave him the idea of doing dental transplants. And the poor people would line up in front of his office to have a tooth extracted without any anesthesia at all, so that Hunter could use these to implant into the rich toothless. Well, it didn't work very well because, of course, the tooth didn't become one with the jaw. It would eventually fall out. And it took more than another 100 years until there was any kind of success. And that really came in the 1960s. Well, it turned out that some orthopedic surgeons had noticed that when they used a metal, titanium, as an implant, it would kind of not be rejected by the body, because it's always a problem when you put a foreign material into the body, you get rejection. Titanium wasn't rejected. And this is where the father of dental implants, a Swedish professor of anatomy, Per-Ingvar Brånemark, came into the picture. He had no idea about dentistry. He wasn't interested in dentistry at all. He was, believe it or not, interested in rabbits. Why? Because he was interested in what was going on inside of the bones in terms of microcirculation. He wanted to have a look into the bones. So he would anesthetize a rabbit, and he needed a way to look into the bone of the rabbit. And he devised a particular ocular device. And because he knew that titanium would not be rejected, he had that fabricated out of titanium, so that he would implant it into the leg of the rabbit and he could look inside for the microcirculation. And then, when it came to take out this lens, he struggled and he struggled and he struggled, and he found it very difficult to take out because it had fused with the bone. And this gave him the idea of dental implants, because he knew all the problems that people were having with lost teeth. You lose your teeth, it's pretty difficult to eat. So he had an idea of using titanium as an implant, because he had noticed that it fused to the bone. And in 1965, he managed to carry out the first one. He actually implanted a metal piece into the jawbone, into which a screw could be put and a ceramic tooth, an artificial tooth, mounted on that. This was in 1965. And that tooth in that patient lasted for over 40 years. Well, at first, incredibly, this technology was not easily accepted. And it took about 30 years until dentists came around and realized that it actually worked. Because, of course, the teaching always had been that you put a foreign material into the body's going to reject it. But it worked, and today dental implants are an excellent way to replace missing tooth. Of course, you have to be able to afford them. This is not a cheap kind of a procedure. But who would have ever thought that it was just a short hop from playing around with the bones of rabbits to implants? So we kind of thank rabbits, otherwise we would be forced to smile toothlessly.